Okay, I'm good.
This is the safety lesson on how to use the jointer. The jointer is a machine that makes a board flat. The reason we want our board to be flat is so that we can use it in our steps to continue dimensioning our board or bringing it to the size we need to do it. When we have a rough board like this one, you can see potentially that it has a bit of warp to it, and that's just the natural process when wood dries or cures, it gets that way. And so our board has a little bit of a warp to it. It wobbles on the table, or if it's sitting on the table, it may have a little bit of a cup to it. For us, that's important when we put our piece of wood on the jointer. We want to make sure that the growth rings are pointed usually in an upwards direction, and you can see it. It almost makes like a little bit of a smiley face. And so we want the cup side down, or our board, the smiley face from the growth rings pointed up. And that makes it stable when we're jointing our piece of wood. The jointer has a cutter head behind a guard, and if we open our cutter head, we can see that there are sharp blades that operate in here, and they rotate towards the operator in this way. Okay? The cutter head has a guard on it to protect the operator from accidentally putting a piece of wood into the cutter head or putting their fingers potentially in there as well. With the jointer, we always use push sticks. We never have our hands free on the wood. Even if our piece is really long, we're eventually going to have push sticks over it so that our hands are never directly over top of the cutter head at any point while the machine is running. The machine also has an emergency stop button. It's a big red button at the side of the machine that you can quickly hit, and it will stop the machine from running. The on switch is below here as well to turn the machine on at the same time. It is important to have a dust collection system hooked up to the jointer to avoid clogging the motor or the cutter head with our shavings as it's cutting. The jointer can handle long boards. The smallest board it can have is a 12 inches in length, and that's because we don't want the board accidentally getting wedged or trapped in there. If at any time the board gets stuck, shut off the machine, back away, call the instructor for additional help. Never try and reach your hand in to retrieve anything from in the machine if it were to get jammed or stuck, because the potential for cutting your fingers is always present. This lesson on the jointer. This is not a substitute for permission to use without teacher's supervision. The intention is that a student still needs to write a safety test and demonstrate their ability and knowledge to the instructor before they can use this machine without direct supervision. These are the types of push sticks we have for the jointer. This is a push pad if our piece was long or we needed to joint the edge of our work. We can support it against the fence without our fingers being directly over top of the cutter head. This is a push stick for planing or for jointing the surface of our work. It also keeps our fingers off of the work directly and makes it safe to operate. It has a little ledge on the back to grip the wood to help it push through the blades of the jointer. It's important that when we operate that we have a proper stance, that we're not just pushing from the back with our feet close together because we could fall over, but we actually walk with our board as it goes through the cutter. The fence on here is set to 90 degrees. The teacher can easily check that for you to make sure that it's cutting at a perfect 90 degrees because that's important when we are doing the edge of our board to make sure the angles become up true and square for future project use. So now we're going to turn on the machine. We're going to demonstrate what it can do, how it planes a surface flat on one side, and also how we can joint the edge of our board as well. So with the jointer, it's also important to always wear safety glasses and closed-toed footwear, remove any jewelry, loose-fitting clothing, and tie back long hair. These have rotating parts, and if clothing or hair were to get caught in it, it could draw you into the cutter head. And so we always remove any jewelry, roll up sleeves if you have long sleeves, tie back your hair, and again, wear safety glasses.